There was a kid I knew in primary school, I guess I'd call him a friend of mine, but honestly he was kinda insane, and depending on who you asked, I'm sure some of the teachers would have told you he was bullying me. I got into quite a lot of trouble with him. Well, actually, technically it was mostly him who was getting into trouble, but I ended up in the principal's office so many times having to explain the crazy shit he and I used to get up to. On the one hand, he had a crazy vivid imagination. He'd spend lunchtime running around the school grounds pretending to be in the thick of a battle in World War II against the Germans, getting into epic firefights etc. But he would get so into it, it was contagious and I couldn't help but join in. He'd lead me into his imaginary fray, shouting move move move. GRENAAAADE, get down, private. Then suddenly at a moment's notice he'd drop down to the ground and start crawling commando style through some shrubs with the most intense look on his face. And he had this crazy ability to construct very impressive little bases, basically huts/tents, in the forest, mostly out of twigs, dead leaves and other stuff he'd just find laying on the ground. Try as I might, I could never build them as well as him. Hanging out with him was always an adventure, because when he got into something he was so into it, and I couldn't help but just join in and have a good time. On the other hand, he also wore steel cap boots to school, would repeatedly remind me that he was wearing steel cap boots and would kick me in the shins with them to demonstrate. Pretty sure I came home with bruises on my legs multiple times. Pulled a box cutter on me one day, on school grounds. Would have random outbursts of extremely aggressive behavior, such as pushing me up against a wall, red-faced and furious and looking like he was about to lay into me, unprovoked. Despite his sudden and frequent mood swings, he was actually a fun kid to hang out with a lot of the time. I'd hang out with him after school and honestly I think his mom was happy to see that he'd made a friend, because he tended to push other kids away with his behavior. The lunchtime war roleplay was always a blast and it was great fun building stuff out of sticks in the bush, just because he got so into everything he did and it was contagious. Joining in was always a blast. I ended up in the principal's office so often, to resolve disputes between us. The principal would often ask why I continued to be friends with the guy. Honestly, my friendship with this kid gave me a little bit of an insight into how abusive relationships might form, and how people can end up feeling trapped in them and keep coming back despite their better judgment. He moved to another state after 6th grade and I never saw him again. He did send me one letter about a month after moving though. Apparently he wrote it at his school athletics carnival. Told me how he missed hanging out with me, and was gushing about how much fun he was having competing in the events. He wrote that he had just come third in the 100 meters race and was currently coming second in the 200 meters race. WTF? I wrote back to him, but he never replied after that.